So today we are moving on to blood, and today we'll talk mostly about blood cells and the different kinds of blood cells. Before we get to that introduction, blood is considered a connective tissue. We did talk about that a little bit earlier when we talked about connective tissues. Because blood transfers things from one place to another, it's considered a connective tissue. It has a mixture of cells, blood cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, chemicals, and obviously fluid. Blood's very important job or function is to transport, so it's going to transport substances throughout the body. It helps to maintain stable interstitial fluid, so in the cells, in between the cells, and it's also important for distributing heat throughout your body. Main components of the blood are red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and then plasma is the liquid part. So when we actually look at the volume of your blood and composition, plasma, which is the liquid part, is mostly water. It also contains amino acids, proteins, carbs. A lot of this is from the foods that you eat, your lipids, vitamins, hormones. A lot of your hormones from your endocrine system are carried through your bloodstream. Electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and then your cellular wastes are carried through your blood and dropped off at the lungs or kidneys and places like that. A blood hematocrit is normally, so if I take a sample, basically that's a blood sample, it's normally 45% cellular material and then 55% plasma. Most of your cells are red blood cells. The main percentage of blood cells are red blood cells. Average adult has a blood volume of about 5.3 quarts, 5 liters to kind of give you an idea. When you donate blood, you typically give a pint. If you do doubles, you give 2 pints. And many times, like if you're bleeding, the volume that you see appears to be much larger than it actually is. So average person in your body right now has about 5 liters of blood. So here's an example of a hematocrit. I'm assuming some of you have had blood drawn similar to this. And then what they do is they take it and they centrifuge it, so they spin it very quickly. And then what happens is the larger cells go to the bottom, the liquid goes to the top. So you can kind of see if I'm looking at a hematocrit, if I'm looking at the total composition, this is red blood cells. So a large percentage of your blood is red blood cells. This little layer right here called the buffy coat is your white blood cells and platelets. So your white blood cells make up a very small part of your blood. And then the largest part is actually the plasma, which is mostly water and the other materials. So here it breaks it down into everything. I'd like you to kind of look and see what's in your blood. I will not ask specifically, 7% proteins. I'm not going to ask that. Gases that are carried in your blood, there's nitrogen, which is the most abundant gas in the atmosphere, oxygen, carbon dioxide. Proteins are broken into 3 groups. So here's just a chart that kind of shows everything. My main focus is going to be more of this side of it. So red blood cells, 95%, that's huge. White blood cells, you will need to know the different types of white blood cells, and we will talk about those separately. And I'll stop there.